Hello and welcome to Morris Park. I'm Clyde Morris. And today I got another package in the mail. This package today is from one of my viewers, Mr. Allan Peck. And he hails out of Michigan up there. And Allan tends to like smaller plants and keeps his collection with smaller plants because he has mainly just windowsill spaces, from what he tells me. And that as his plants get older, he doesn't like to keep the big plants, kind of like I do, and likes to find homes for the big plants and just start over with smaller plants so he can have more in his collection, a more varied collection. And there's lots of people that like to actually do this because it gives you a larger collection and you can have more different kinds of plants instead of concentrating on the larger plants. But anyway, I just got this package in the mail. I've got a few things set up here. I've got several pots for selection. He sent me two different kinds of plants here. He sent me one older one and he sent me some cuttings of another, and they're both Euphorbias. So let's cut this open. I'm kind of anxious to see this because kind of a big old dent there, and I'm kind of we may have to make a mad dash for it because I don't know if you can hear it in the background. There's rolling thunder in the background. We've had some good storms today. Actually, I can appreciate that because we've been in such a horrible drought. Our grass was pretty much dead and crispy, and now it's all growing back and it's getting green again. So anyway, I'm going to get on with this. If we have to, we might just have to make a run and, and finish this in the greenhouse. So let's check this out. It's pretty well packed, so the impact may not have hurt it. Got quite a good deal going on here with the egg carton-like material. Composite material here. Yeah, I don't think that kit is going to ruin anything. No. Hopefully not. Hear that thunder. Okay. Now, this first plant, this is pretty weighty too. The first plant is the one he contacted me about originally. I've got a very small plant of this that I've been growing for about 2 years now. It grows, but it's kind of finicky. And it's a smaller plant that I received from Daz and Edith of Cactomania. And I've kept it inside all this time, but I'm really thinking that probably the best course of action is going to be to take it to the greenhouse. I've found a lot of things kind of perk up when they get into natural heat and natural sunlight, as opposed to artificial light sometimes. But anyhow, let me open this up. There's two packages in here, by the way. Another package. And I'll show you what he sent me. Oh yes, this is a nice big plant here. Wow. This is a huge plant. This is a hybrid plant. This is Euphorbia cabazan. They're a very cool plant. This is a hybrid of Euphorbias and Euphorbia susannae. It's a great big plant. I'm thinking probably that my one from Daz and Edith would probably be happier out in the greenhouse, and I think I'm going to bring it to the greenhouse and just set these guys kind of side by side. Maybe a little inspiration or for a little companionship will help it inspire it to grow. Now this is natural. A lot of this bark here is natural for these. My little ones barked pretty much most of the way, well, about a third of the way up. But from all the pictures I see of these, that's pretty much the way they grow. This one has a lot of nice new offsets. See here. Looks very healthy. Very healthy. Allan, thank you. This is a wonderful plant. Nice, huge plant. And it'll be a great addition to my collection for sure. And it'll keep my little cabazan with a little friend. Keep him company. So I'll put those two side by side when I get them in the greenhouse, and maybe the little one will perk up a little bit. Beautiful plant. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside, and then we're going to dig into this next package here. Now these are some cuttings of a Euphorbia I don't have. I have one that's in the same group, actually two, and that's my Euphorbia decarii and my decarii varspirosticea. And this is Euphorbia cylindrifolia or tubifolia. Now Allan and I have been talking back and forth about this plant and how to get it to produce a natural caudex. Whoops. Oh, Allan, we got some visitors too. I'll have to shake those off. Got a few ants there. Michigan ants. We're going to have to package them back up. Allan, you want your ants back? But some very nice cuttings here. If you look at these are very healthy, and they should actually start off very well. See that? And there's quite a few of them here that he's given me. Been very generous with this plant. Very cool, and they get flowers much like a decarii does. Has a little kind of tannish colored flowers with the little that little tan sathophylls on either side of them, kind of like milii having the red ones and such. He's giving me quite a nice bundle here. And all these, even these like this, they will actually grow real easily. If this is like my decarii spirosticea, it should grow very well. Anyhow, I'm going to get these lifted out of here and kind of wrap these ants up. Send them back to Allan. Allan, you want your ants? Oops. Got the little pieces here we're going to have to get too. And we'll wrap these guys up. I don't want them hybridizing with my ants I have here. May produce super ants. And our ants are terrible here. They are really terrible. We'll just wrap those up and put them back in that box. Very nice. Okay, now I have several pots here that I kind of picked for this, but I think for this one, it's going to be very large. And I'm not sure if, like, say, this terracotta would be nice. Maybe in there. But I actually have one I think that'll work better. And I think I'm going to go get that one. And it was the one I really had slated for my Phaerocactus macrodiscus that I got from Norberto. Okay, so I'm going to go get this pot, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I think I found a pot that'll work better for this guy, since it's a nice chunky Euphorbia. And this one, I got it at a Hobby Lobby actually, but it's a nice container, but just didn't have a hole, so I had to make a hole, as you can see. And like a lot of my pots like this that I find, that's just the problem with them, they just don't have a hole. So anyhow, I'm going to get a little piece of screen here. Put that in the bottom. Soil. Hopefully that storm isn't going to move in. It's getting kind of dark. As I say, I am very thankful for the rain because we've just had such a rough time drought-wise here. It's been a daily ordeal of watering a lot of the outdoor plants like the peonies and such to keep everything alive because it's just been so dry. And just lately, within the last 2 weeks or so, we've been getting some pretty good rain and some pretty good storms, actually. In fact, today I was coming in from our job. We were coming back to our warehouse, and it hailed on us very hard, large stones. I'd say some were close to golf ball size, but most of them were about a marble size. Hitting us pretty hard on the way back. We made it in okay, though. And avoided any bad stuff, but storms around here can get pretty scary sometimes. A good old storm in the Ozarks really is something. Okay, it looks like this is going to be a really great pot for this plant. Let me just scoop here. Get it in around it here and settle it. Be careful not to break any of the tubercles. Make it bleed. Gotta be nice to it. Allan, this is a very nice plant. You've really done a great job growing this. Nice big plant. Give my little cabazan a friend. About 2 years ago, Daz-Anita, the Cactomania. If you haven't seen Cactomania, you need to go over to that channel. Daz has some really beautiful, awesome plants. But they were very generous to send me quite a few plants, and the cabazan was among them. This was a Euphorbia I'd never had before. This has been a little bit of a learning experience. Awesome little plants. I love all Euphorbias. It's kind of funny, I even get interested in some of the weedy ones that we have growing just right out in the park here. We have about 3 or 4 types of wild Euphorbias that grow here. Of course, not succulent. Weedy types. Ones that farmers spend millions and billions of dollars a year trying to get rid of out of their fields. They're rather invasive. Call them spurge. But Daz-Anita sent me a number of wonderful plants. Many Euphorbias, monodeniums, some cacti. It was quite the shipment. You can probably go back in my videos and check that out. But they're the first ones to introduce me to the cabazan. Whoops, I dropped a little soil there. Careful here not to make it bleed too much. I've got one tiny little, well, maybe a couple tiny little places here on it. Be careful not to knock the offsets off. Years ago, I've not had a Susan A, but surprisingly enough, but years ago I did have a Euphorbias I bought out in California, and didn't have it for too many years here. Lost it. This will be cool. Got 2 of these now. Actually, I think the cabazan that Daz-Anita sent me actually came out of Singapore. This was a well-traveled plant, a little long-distance friend there. My long-distance travelers, as I call them, the ones I received from Daz-Anita, the Cactomania. They're all doing wonderful. Cabazan's just been a little bit of a slow guy. Make sure that soil settles in there. Well, it's already looking great. I think it's about there. Make sure around here. Gotta make sure that soil doesn't have any holes in it really. There's just air pockets. I'm gonna get that settled in. Okay. Good on that one. Take some of this lava rock here, settle it in around it. Like using lava rock, excuse me, as a top dressing quite a bit. I just like the looks of it, and it's breathable. Nice. So I guess there was a reason I used the soup bowl cup on the Pharaoh cactus. Because just certain pots are just made for certain plants. This one looks like it's really going to fit this well. I didn't bring out any kind of staging rocks or anything, because I really didn't think I'd have any room really with these pots. Pretty cool. It's really neat how they get this kind of ball shape to them. I thought that was really pretty cool about the cabazan when I got it from Daz and Edith. It's a little ball shape it has. Yeah, you can hear that thunder. It's getting closer. Okay, I think I've got that one. Looks pretty good. Allan, it's a great plant. It really turned out nice in this pot. I'm glad I saved this pot back. Very nice. Now, I'm going to take one of these this larger terracotta here to start these, and use it. It's an Italian style. I like the Italian terracotta pots as far as terracotta pots go, but this is not an Italian-made pot. And actually, I like the Italian quality better. I hate to say that about our own pots here in the United States, but if you look at this one really close, it doesn't have quite the density that the Italian ones do, but I love the shape. Shape is awesome. I got this, I believe, at Home Depot. Is where I found this pot. I like the rim up here. The rim. I also like these other type here too. They're just kind of like a cup. I like the ones from Italy the best, as I say. But I like the shape. Ones from Italy usually have a size up here too. What size the pot is and everything. And I think that's kind of cool too. And it'll have the pot size and all. I like to kind of face that out rather than hide it. Let's get to planting these guys. I'll probably root these up into one pot, get them good and rooted, and then break them up later on when they're all rooted up real nice. Al and I have really been talking about the reason that maybe these plants are not producing a caudex, but really, I don't know if you noticed this, Allan, but this one here is starting to get fat down there. So, all I'm thinking maybe is maybe it just takes time for them to start doing that. So, if anybody else has any ideas about this, I've not grown this species before, so I'm not sure about how to prompt it to getting a caudex. But to me, it really looks like down here that that's starting to fatten out, widen out. What do you think? Very possible. So let's hope on that, and maybe after so many years that'll fatten up. We'll see after a year or two of being in this pot. When I go to break them up, we'll find out if possibly at least one of these, like this one, has made a caudex, because that is rather fat right there. Rather wide for the stem itself. And most of the rhizomes, as you can see, the rhizomes are narrow. See these narrow rhizomes. But that's widened up quite a bit. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. Okay, I'm going to start planting these. Kind of stick them around the pot here. They were kind of running. Whoops. I think I lost one of my guys down here. Anyhow, I think I'll get some more soil in this. A little bit more like that. There we go. I think that's a little better. Start sticking these guys in, then I'm just going to fill in on them. Yeah. That really looks like it could be a start. Start of a Caudex. Let's hope. That'd be really cool. These things put out a real nice rounded turnip-like Caudex. That's really cool. And of course, you know all caudiciforms are cool. Just really awesome. Love caudiciform. I don't have caudiciforms in, like, say, every succulent family there is. I'm kind of picky, I guess. I like the Euphorbias and cacti and such most. But very cool. Or like my Eucarnia, my ponytail palm. It's got a huge Caudex on it. It's really nice. Big one. I'll keep this kind of shaded for a little while, because some of these runners haven't been out of the ground too long. They look kind of pale, or like they haven't been out of the ground. And so I'll kind of keep them shaded a little bit until they get used to brighter light and start to green up. Kind of have that white asparagus look. Hands on there. There we go. Get that settled in. And some of these smaller ones I'm just going to kind of build up here. This. Just kind of put them barely in on the surface there. And I won't water either one of these for about 2 weeks. Make sure they get a good start. Don't want any injury that I might have done, or when Allan packaged them or anything like that. You want them to kind of heal up so they can get going again, because they're not going to like a good watering like a lot of other plants, of course. Cacti and succulents are just a little bit different than that. I'm going to kind of loop this around so it's kind of supported. There we go. This will make a nice pot full. And really it won't take too long, I don't believe. Okay. All right, I think we've got that. I'm going to make a little bit more dirt in there, and I'm going to kind of cover it with some lava rock. Sprinkle it in here between the stems that are sticking up. I'll have to make some tags for these a little later. Now, anytime you're ready for something a little different, just let me know. And I'll send you out something from my collection. Allan says he's a little cramped up with space right now, which is kind of the reason he's giving me these. So he didn't want me to send him anything back, which I would have for sure. I like to trade. I like the idea of my plants getting to other places. My Euphorbia decarii spirosticha and my Stelospina both are all over the place now. I think that Stelospina is one of the biggest Stelospinas there ever was, widespread, or I'd have to say, because it's in Las Vegas, it's in Ireland, it's in the UK, it's in Miami. That plant's really gotten around. And my decarii is spirosticha. It's in all those places except for Miami yet. If Norberto ever wants some of those, Norberto, you can always ask me for some, and I'll get you some of those. Allan, if you'd like some of my decarii spirosticha later on, you just let me know. And I'll send you some of those. They kind of look like this when you take cuttings. They're just little runners and stuff. The leaves are kind of flat and crinkly. Smaller than the type species decarii. Be careful here to Sprinkle this and still have the head sticking up. Yeah, it's looking good. I'm not going to put any, like I said, staging rocks on top of this, because what this is going to do is just start poking out all over the place. It'll start putting out runners, and then they'll start growing out from underneath the rocks, and you'll see them just push up through the rocks. Okay. Just a little bit to go. Storms are threatening. You're booming back there. Make sure this leaf isn't buried. There we go. Some dust off of them. Now, if these are anything like my spiral stitches, they're relatively easy to grow, but time will tell. I've not grown this species before, so I'm not really sure about it. I see it out there all the time. The stems look almost identical. When they come above ground, they look almost identical to Spirosticha. So they're very closely related. They're all in that Dicarii millii group. But yeah, I think that turned out rather well. And about a year or two, this will kind of fill in here. My experience, it's about 2 years. I planted a small cup of my Spirosticha, and it was about 2 years before it actually really filled in. This is really cool. This is a species I don't have. This is one that I do have, but this is an awesome big plant. And as I said, it'll keep my little one company. I hope they both do very well. I've been really keep my fingers crossed on the cabazan that Daz and Edith sent me, just because it's slow. It's not unhealthy, and it's not rotting, or it's not dying. It's just not doing a lot, just kind of sitting there, and I water it and it gets bigger, but it never really puts out any leaves. And I think the trick is going to be to get it out to the greenhouse now. But I've been thinking about it, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to get that little cabazan out to the greenhouse, sit next to this one, and see what it does out there. I think it'll do much better out in the greenhouse. These little leaves it has up here are deciduous. They'll kind of yellow and fall off here and there. And in the dry season, coming this winter, when everything dries out, it'll lose all this. And you'll just see the tubercles like my little one. The little one just has the tubercles, and it doesn't really have any leaves on it. It grows, and I can tell it's grown, but without the leaves. But we'll make it happy. We'll give it a friend and put it in the greenhouse, where I think it's going to do much better. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to clean this up, and then I'm going to give you a good view of these awesome plants. Here we are. Looks good in that pot. If you look closely at the stems of these, they look just like Dicarii Spirosticha. And of course, little runners. Difference in this one is it's supposed to get a caudex on it, and Allan and I have been wondering about this, but I think that one piece, I'm going to keep an eye on this, and it very well could produce a caudex in time. It may just take a long time. I've had some Euphorbias that just took so long to get them propagated right, years and years. So sometimes it's just a real long wait on these things. But awesome plants, Allan. Thank you very much. These are really cool. New plants for my greenhouse. A new species of Euphorbia, and a big friend for my little cabazan. Awesome. Very cool Euphorbias. Really appreciate this, Alan. If you ever need a home for any of your older Euphorbias, you can send them to the Euphorbia old folks home here, and I'll be fine with it. Thanks a lot, Alan. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening with me and planting these, waiting on this storm. And special thanks to my little co-star here, Big O. Hi, Big O. He always wants to hang around here. He's been at my feet most of the time. Anyhow, this is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.